Welcome, everybody. Town Meeting 2026, Castleton, Vermont. I'm your moderator, Michael Finnegan. Let's start opening the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody could stand, if you can. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, can we ask everybody to please check and silence your cell phones, please? Okay, with that being said, we'll get right underway. I'm going to start with introductions of our town manager and select board. We'll start with Mike Jones, Mark Brown, Richard Combs, Bob Spalding, Mary Harris, Rob Steele. And once again, I'm Mike Finnegan, your town moderator. Okay. At this time, if we could have, please, a moment of silence for our former health and safety officer for the town of Castleton, Mr. Jim Lamy, please. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator,
Okay. Yes, sir.
could I have just 1 minute to speak about Jim?
If you could, if you wish, yes, sir. The floor is yours. You need a microphone. Is that microphone operating?
I just felt that we really should give a couple of words to Jim. He had been a public servant here in Castleton for 60 years. A longtime member of the select board, chairman of the select board for many years, and the health officer for around 60. I don't think we're quite sure. Jim was 92 or 93 when he passed away. We're not sure about that either. But what we know is that he loved the town. He loved all the people here. He was particularly dedicated to wastewater regulations, and he has an amazing legacy of really single-handedly getting the sewage pipes out of Lake Bomazene. So when you enjoy Lake Bomazene, I hope you think of Jim, because it used to be a cesspool, and he fixed that. Jim and his wife owned the largest undeveloped piece of property on Lake Bomazene, about 160 acres. They bought it decades ago to prevent it from being developed, and Jim's wife and particularly loved the wildlife there. She passed away last year, and at the time of Jim's passing, he was donating that property to us, to the state of Vermont, the Department of Fish and Wildlife, so it will be preserved forever. And that's a really amazing legacy that he did that for our town.
Okay, at this time, in the interest of time, I'm going to turn the microphone over to members of our Slate Valley Unified School District School Board, someone I know a little bit, Julie Finnegan. In the interest of time, as their annual meeting is also tonight, so she's going to speak real quick up front, and then we'll get to things. All right.
Well, I don't have a microphone, so I'm going to stand right here. Oh, does that one work? Awesome. Okay, so yes, our annual meeting is tonight at 6:30. So I'm going to do it, just kind of give you guys a rundown, or if I can answer any quick questions, and then I'll come back after, because this meeting definitely takes longer than our annual school board meeting, especially since there's also a senior boys basketball game at the high school tonight. So I'm assuming our participation could be a tad challenged tonight. I hope you all got this in the mail. I know it is full of numbers and full of information, but I hope it did give you some idea of kind of how we're looking for Slate Valley for our increase for this year of 2.8%, which is less than any other school in Rutland County, and it's also less than, it's about inflation, maybe a little under inflation, and it's also less than what raises were for our negotiated raises for our staff and our teachers this year. So we feel pretty proud of our budget this year. And this also is reflective of the most current information that we have, but I believe you all understand that the yield, which determines your tax rate, is not set till the end of the legislative season in May. So the numbers here are all the best we have at the moment, okay? And so also there's still talk about a buy down. I don't know if you guys keep hearing that. He's going to put money towards the education fund to buy down the tax rate. So that would make it even lower if they did that. After our annual meeting, we always video that, and it will be posted on our website, and so will the presentation, which has very specific town tax information based on this information. Castleton's is under a cent increase. I think we're like 0.096. So we're doing really well in Castleton. That really truly is thanks to our, CLA, getting reappraised. That made a huge difference. If you look at towns in our district who have not been reappraised, their taxes are not as low as ours. So that was a direct result of the appraisal too. So does anybody have any questions that I can answer in the next 10 minutes before I got to drive really slowly and carefully to the high school? All right, if anything comes up along the way when I come back, I'm more than happy to answer them. I'm more than happy to stay after and answer them too. I know that there's a lot of education conversation at the state level around reorganization, which I'm happy to talk about. Or also what they're calling now how are they going to fund it? Why can I not? A cap, not a cap. But foundation formula, thank you. The foundation formula, which means giving each school a certain amount of money per student. Okay? So there's lots of conversations going on around that too. The most recent map for reconsolidation that has come out, that has had the most conversation and seems to have some traction or some conversational traction, has us with our friends to the south, Poultney, Paulet, Wells, and Ira. And then it keeps Mill River with down south and puts Greater Rutland with Rutland and Rutland Northeast. So it kind of keeps us on our little west side of Vermont right now. But who knows how that's going to work. So Sue Travers is also here. She's another Castleton rep on your school board, just so you know. And Aaron Belden, I believe Aaron is probably just going right to the high school, but Aaron Belden is your other rep. So those are your 3 Castleton reps. We are not a fully stocked school board. We should have 18 members. We have no West Haven members at all. We haven't for years. So we're missing 3 West Haven members. We're now going to be missing a Hubbardton member because the one Hubbardton person stepped down. We are now going to be missing an Orwell member because another Orwell person stepped down and nobody is running for these positions. Fairhaven still has 3. Benson still has 3. So we're down 5 members of an 18-member board. So if you have any friends in West Haven, we would love to have them step up. I believe there's somebody who's trying to do a write-in. Scott Hertz. Shoot, it's Hertz like the car, but then there's another ending to it. But there is somebody trying to do a write-in, but nobody's running for Orwell, Hubbardton, or the other 2 West Haven positions too. So we are struggling to fill our school board as well. So if you know anybody, that would be fantastic. Yeah.
I just like to thank you and our representatives for your service on the board. I know it has been grueling.
Can be.
Absolutely grueling to bring down the per pupil cost and yet supply ensure the kind of education we want our kids to have. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sue. Thanks. People who are interested, the school board, the AOE released the school report cards today. Okay, and we are in the top 3rd. Slate Valley, we're the highest in the Rutland area. We're if you look at it, we're the highest in southwestern Vermont with our test scores and how we're doing. I am very proud of what we have done with the money we spend. I'm also very proud. Our buildings are in the best condition of all the buildings in Rutland County. If you ever have a chance to walk through high schools, take a moment and walk through them. Fairhaven is immaculate. It's well taken care of. Our elementary schools are well taken care of. Chris Cole has done an amazing job of maintaining a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, chipping away at everything through the budget without having to do a bond, right? Which is a scary thing to think about. We are really proud of what we've done with what we have. When you talk about a per pupil spending of under $12,000, when our neighbors to the north of us easily spend 18, we're pretty proud of what we do. So, yeah, thank you, Sue, I appreciate it. But definitely the scorecard is confusing, I'm not gonna lie. The Agency of Ed is never really good at presenting things super well. But if you do get a chance to look in there, there are rankings of school districts and how they do, and we're doing really well. We're really proud of ourselves, so. Yeah, so, all right, well, thank you, and I will be back at the end if anybody thinks of any questions or wants to ask me anything when we come back. Thank you, enjoy town meeting.
Okay. At this time, we'd like to thank Lori Phillips and the VTSU crew for accommodating and coordinating the meeting. Stephen Billups for his IT support and preparing the room. I don't think we have any state reps here. And of course, now that we're moving into the ballot articles, if we could, if you have questions, please raise your hand. Address the questions to me, the moderator, and when you ask the question, state your name as well. Okay. With that being said, let's begin. Article number 1, to elect town officers for the following terms. 2 select board members for 1 year, 1 select board member for 3 years, 1 library trustee for 5 years, 1 library trustee for 1 year, remaining of a 5-year term, 1 town moderator for 1 year, and 1 town clerk for 3 years. Any questions, comments, discussions on Article 1? Hearing none, let's move along. Article number 2. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $30,652 for legislating? Any questions, comments, concerns for Article number 2?
Hi, Tim Smith.
Tim.
There's nothing to compare this to in terms of what the cost was last year on these line items, percentage or dollar increase. So I'm just going to ask the board if there's anything that's fundamentally different from the prior year outside of normal inflationary pressures. Just bring that to our attention, please. That'd be helpful. Thank you.
On that item, Tim, the budget increase for this year was $1,246. It was up from $29,464 last year to $30,652 this year, and it's normal inflationary costs. I can get into detail if you want.
No, just generally speaking, if any of these lines, if there's an outlier, just bring it to our attention.
So was the budget, town manager, was this available to the audience, the budget?
So out in the lobby, there's 3 pieces of paper. There's this big one here, which is a comparative. The current year we're in is in the beige, the red column, or I'm sorry, that's the proposed budget. The red column is the year we're in right now, and gray is fiscal year ending June of 25, and there's a comparative there and a percentage. Okay. And there's notes on the far side to indicate where the increases were. I try to highlight the big ones.
All right, well, that's very helpful. Thank you.
And then there's 2 other pieces of paper out there that has a comparative as well, but not as detailed as this one.
Okay.
The easiest one to use, Tim, is the budget summary. Is each particular item that's on the ballot as an individual article is listed in one line here.
Okay.
So legislating is the first one, the one I just read to you, and that's why I took the numbers off this sheet because it's easy, one piece of paper is easier to deal with than 25 or 30.
Agreed. Thank you.
So if anyone doesn't have the 26-27 budget summary, it's available out on the tables outside in the lobby if you wanted to grab one. Really?
I don't know, Mark, do you have one of those? You have one of those?
So also, Mr. Moderator, now would be an excellent time to find out if the Zoom audience can actually hear the audience.
Yes. There you go. Do that. Say again, please.
Can the Zoom audience actually hear what's being said without a
I would
microphone?
certainly hope so. Let's go to the Zoom
Let's find
expert.
out. Let's ask.
Yeah, it's very faint to hear, and even unless the select board speaks right into the mic, it's difficult to hear.
Okay. Don't break it. Rent it. Okay. Any other discussion for article number 2? Hearing none, seeing none, let's move on. Article number 3. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $2,216 for ordinances and proceedings? This is a slight change from $2,224 in the last budget. Any discussion for article number 3? Hearing none, seeing none, let's move on. Article 4. Shall the town appropriate the sum $218,389 for managing municipalities? This is an increase from $201,757 from the former budget. Any questions, discussions on Article 4? Okay. Article number 5. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $13,186 for conducting elections? Any discussions, questions, comments, concerns on Article number 5? Very good. Article 6. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $66,187 for collection, custody, and disbursement of funds? Any questions, comments, concerns regarding Article number 6?
Question. My name is Susan Fingerhut.
Yeah.
Could you just explain, help me understand what is collection, custody, and disbursement of funds?
Certainly.
Because that's a $16,000 increase.
Yes. We'll defer that to the board.
That's primarily the secretary to the tax collector, and part of the town manager's office. It's in his scope of record or scope of influence. The main reason for that big increase is we had a change of personnel, and instead of taking the insurance buyout, the new employee, even though she's making less money to pay a salary, is taking a family plan health insurance policy, which costs $34,000, $42,000 now a year, as opposed to a $16,000.
The buyout for individuals.
The $8,000 buyout is up to a $42,000 family plan. That's the majority of that increase for that line item,
And that was her choice to do that?
The other employee moved to a different position. We had to hire a new person, and one of the benefits that's available to our town employees is a family plan health insurance. They pay 20% of that, the town pays 80%. So we pay 80% of that $42,000 instead of an $8,000 insurance buyout.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions on Article 6? Hearing none, seeing none. Article number 7. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $124,618 for accounting? Any questions on Article 7? Hearing none, seeing none. Let's move to Article 8. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $21,000 for auditing? Any questions, comments, concerns on Article 8? Hearing none, seeing none. Let's see. Article number 9. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $41,548 for tax listing? Any questions on Article number 9? Very good. Okay. Article number 10. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $61,671 for tax collecting? Any questions, comments, concerns on Article 10? Yes, sir. And your name?
John Triola. Just could you explain the large increase?
see this already. Majority of the increase was because of previous employees took the insurance buyout and the current stating two-person health insurance plan. That is the most of what the increase is on this.
So is that the same as the other one? Is that spread across multiple costs, or is this different?
Same person works in two different, their budget's split, so that same person that Dick talked about is the same person that's in this one.
Is that a one-year thing, is that in perpetuity, or is that like a time to buy out? Do they get insurance, how long do they get the insurance?
Every year.
Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes.
Very good. We have a Zoom question. Actually, this is someone looking for the numbers from last year. Yes. We've got somebody on Zoom asking if there's some way they can share last year's budgetary numbers on Zoom. And I don't think
They can go to the website and look up on the town website, they can look up the budget on there. It's on the homepage under news and announcements.
Okay, very good. All right. Any other questions for Article 10? Okay, moving on. Article 11. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $104,707 for document recording issue? Any questions, comments, concerns on Article 11? Hearing none and seeing none. Let's move to Article 12. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $25,000 for legal services? That's actually a $2,000 decrease from last year at $27,000. Any questions, discussion on Article 12? Moving right along. Article 13. Shall the town appropriate the sum, $55,190 for municipal planning and zoning? An increase from $51,758 in the past budget. Any questions, comments, concerns about Article 13? Moving on. Article 14. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $1,700 for community development and economic revitalization? That is a flat funding, no change from last year, $1,700. Any questions on Article 14?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, sir.
could I speak to that, please?
Certainly.
Just so everyone's familiar with what that is, that's level funded from last year, and $1,000 of that goes to the Chamber and Economic Development Commission of the Rutland Region, our portion of area promotion for tourism, and the rest of it's for grant writing. And then again, it was level funded from last year.
All right. Any other discussion for Article 14? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 15. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $271,246 for general government buildings? This is actually a slight decrease from last year. Last year's budget was $280,245. Any questions, comments on Article 15? Sir.
Mike?
Tim Smith, I'm just curious where the Castleton, the old Castleton Village School, the recreational center, is that housed within general government buildings, or is the maintenance of that building within the recreational budget?
That is within that line item.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I did some. I did some comparisons with a couple other communities so we could see where we're spending. The population of Castleton is 4,458. The closest I could find were Brandon at 4,100 and Stowe at 4,500. Now, not all towns list their budget items the same way, but as a comparison, as the moderator said, this is down about $8,000 from last year, and Stowe's budget for their general government buildings is $653,000.
Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, yeah, just to be clear, that's the town office, the public safety building, which is the fire department and police department, and the rec center.
They're all broken out in here, just by building in that general government. So it's three, the total is a total of all three, but this sheet right here breaks down each one.
All right. Any other discussions for Article 15? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 16, shall the town appropriate the sum of $33,800 for general government equipment? It was $33,200 last year's budget. Any questions, comments about Article 16? Well,
Yeah, just to be clear, that is software, home systems, all the items that are necessary for operating the town hall.
Mr. Moderator, could you move close to the mic when you're talking?
I'm sorry? Yes.
Can you move closer to the mic when you're talking?
Very good. Well, this is for our Zoom people. I can yell in the room here. I can't yell over the internet. Okay. Any other discussion for Article 16? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 17. Shall the town appropriate a sum of $794,000 for the police department? Any discussions on Article 16? Yes, sir, Mr. Brown. Do it.
Again, I did some comparisons here so you could see what we're getting for what we pay. Our police budget comes out to $178.29 per person in the community. That's about $2 per person over the state average. Brandon is $228 per person, so they're about $50 more than us. And Stowe is $440 per person, so they're more than double us. Does that make sense the way I explained it? So I think that our police department comes out to be quite reasonable if you compare it to other communities that are the same size. I think that what we spend is right there at average. But I would also like to say that what we receive is far above average. And I think if you look at the crime stats in our community compared to others that I won't name, we live in a really, really safe community that has really good public policing. And the chief and his staff do a tremendous job. I'm sure that you see them out there. They alternate patrols. They're out almost 24/7. They do a lot of community interaction. I know the chief delivers meals at holiday times for Castleton Cares. Officer Sarjenko is very, very involved in that. Our officers show up at the schools, the bicycle rodeo. They're very, very involved in the public, and they're very, very visible. So it's not, we pay average, but I think that we could all agree that we get way above average.
Excuse me, my name is Susan Fingerhut. Could you help me understand, though, what is the $81,643 increase about for the police department?
So of course there's contractual raises, and there's also the college program, correct? You could probably do a better job of explaining that than me, or maybe the chief should explain that.
Chief Mantell.
Yeah, thank you very much. So one of the things is we did apply for the COPS grant, which is a 4-year program. We got awarded $165,000. You break that out into 3 years. And then because the 4th year, you have to pay for the whole year. That's the way the COPS grant works. So if you break that down, 3 and 165, that covers more than half of the new officer. And the reason why we're requesting that is because of our call volume. I know let me give some stats here. What was that piece of paper I gave you? No. Where's the one I gave you?
I gave it to Mark. Sorry, here we go.
There you go. Yeah, just a couple things. Believe me, I know how tight it is with taxes and everything else. So just let you know, from a 5-year period from 2021 to 2024 to 25, our mental health calls jumped up 5,200% from 2 to 106 last year. Citizen Assist, which covers a variety of things, people calling, people asking legal questions, people may need assist with a bunch of things. Jumped 60% from 124 to 198. Suspicious persons, which could, or circumstances mean anything. I'm sure there's people here that's called us about a suspicious person creeping around. I get a lot of lake people call, especially in the summertime, checking out. We've had a lot of transient population increase in Vermont, as you well know. So we went from 140 to 264. That's an 88% increase. Now here's one that nobody really probably thinks it goes on here. So vehicle thefts is one of our highest increase. 2021 to 22, we had 2 that year. 2024, 25, we had 13. Now, doesn't seem like a lot, but that's like 550%. That's kind of crazy. But on all those cases, we recovered all of them. 2 of them were burned up in another town. So, you know, the operational impact is huge. Just an example, mental health responses increase us there. Now, normally I try to run 2 a shift. So we work from 6 a.m. to 4 a.m. Those 2 remaining hours, I'm on call. Just the other night, I get called at 2 a.m. Spent 6 hours helping another officer deal with the situation. So mental health can cover up to 2 to 8 hours. So out of those 106 people, if you were to break the math down and figure out, and that's overtime, that's all sorts of stuff that goes on there. Doing warrants, you know, we're trained how to deal with mental health, but there's a lot of people out there that that are out and they have mental health issues, and our system in Vermont is just broken. I'm going to tell you like it is. Hospitals can't deal with it all, so who do you think everybody calls to deal with it? Us. So we try to give them resources, get them there, get them hospitalization and so on. Suspicious person, so that can anywhere range from 1 to 3 hours. Citizen Assist, 1 to 2 hours. Of course, vehicle thefts can go 1 to 4 hours, and that's excluding DUIs and all the other things that you could see in the report. So our total call service, which is a system that we keep track of on Velcor, that's a state system that law enforcement has access to and nobody else. From 2024, we had 6,127 calls. Now in 2020, just before COVID, our calls were like 38 and 60, I think I looked that up. Just about 4,000 calls. This year, 2025, 7,609. Now that doesn't seem like a huge jump, but that is a big jump because in those calls are these types of calls that we're dealing with. We don't have the you know, the size, you know, like a city or a county department that we can bring people in. So you also put a lot of strain and stress on our schedule, which is why a 6th person, because we have 5 full-time now, this will add 6. We totally took off all our part-time budget, which was around 13,000. We're just not going to go that route because the standards in policing have changed in the last 5 years. I taught at the academy for 7 years. I've seen it change from then to now, and the demands are more. The state of Vermont is putting a lot of policies incorporated into law enforcement. So it's easier because if I have a part-timer that may be only level 2, there's 3 levels of certification. There's level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 3 is your full-time service law enforcement officer that can handle all crimes. Level 2s, which I have 2 part-timers at the level 2s, cannot handle most felonies. So if they get involved in a case at night, I have to call in a level 3 officer to help them out. Liability-wise, it's better if we have level 3s, period. Because a lot can happen. I can tell you war stories, but we don't want to spend that much time doing that. So that's one of the biggest reasons. I mean, I can go on statistics, but I don't want to bore you.
Chief, may I ask?
Yes.
Just saying what, if I accept everything you said, but does this 81,643 represent overtime or a new officer?
Answer that, Chief.
Absolutely.
There's 42,000 in wage increases, and a lot of that is the new police officer, which is actually funded by a grant. But we can't spend that money until you give us permission to do so. So it has to be in the budget. Even though it's not going to be raised by taxes, it has to be in the budget to authorize the expenditure. The primary part of it is, yes. And then the other 46,000 of that increase for the police officers is increased benefits. Because we are, on the new hires, we're assuming worst case, which is a full family plan for health insurance. Now, it may not come to pass, but we don't know that, so we have to plan worst case. So that indicates a worst case number. It may be less than that, but it may not be. So once again, we have to get your permission to hire these cops and to provide them with all their benefits.
Thank you very much.
I do have one more thing. So they understand the grant program.
Yeah, part of that is too, is to reduce the overtime. Overtime's huge. What we end up doing, because we're limited what we can do. But if you don't vote for the budget, right? Let's say y'all say, we don't want to do that. We don't want to hire another person. Then, the grant is still there, but it doesn't mean we have to use it. So let's, the worst case scenario, you don't vote for the budget, we have to go back and fall on what we spent last year, which means we wouldn't hire anything. You see what I'm saying? But, yeah, never mind.
So one of the theories behind hiring an additional officer is it will reduce overtime. And right now there's a substantial amount of overtime. And of course, that gets paid at time and a half. So you get 50% more hours in regular time out of an officer than you do overtime. So by taking this grant, hiring another officer will eliminate a lot of overtime. And it will provide for the 24/7 coverage that our town is growing into needing.
All right, any other discussion? We do have an online comment. We are lucky to have such a responsive police department, and I fully support them, and I tend to agree. Nice job. Okay, moving along. Article 18, shall the town appropriate the sum of $43,482 for emergency medical services, including regional ambulance services and Castleton first responders. This again is a level funded amount at $43,482, the same as last year's budget. Any questions, comments on Article 18? Yes, sir.
The only comparison I could find for that was the town of Brandon, which is slightly smaller population than us. And their budget for the same service is $82,580, so we're substantially less.
Okay. No discussion on Article 18. Let's move to Article 19. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $275,096 for the fire department? This is the difference from $262,785 from last year's budget. Any questions, comments, concerns regarding Article 19? Yes, sir.
Same comparison to Brandon and Stowe. If you divide our fire department budget out, it comes out to $61.70 per resident, identical to Brandon's. Their population is a little smaller, their fire budget's a little smaller. In Stowe, it's $488.88 per person for fire protection, so it's about 7 times higher. And again, I would say that our community has an exemplary fire department. The chief and his crew have done an excellent job in training, equipment, They have modern, up-to-date fire trucks, equipment, and obviously a nice building, and they serve our community really, really well. I think the chief is here tonight. Would you like to say a few words, chief?
Well, I mean, I know that for a fact, the last year, we've upgraded the town fire equipment with a new to us tower ladder, very impressive truck, new utility truck, and another mini pumper that's actually on the way. So a bunch of new stuff coming in the door. So absolutely, we got some good equipment. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, that truck, if anybody's seen it, that green ladder truck, that's used, that's a 2001 or 2000. So it's already got some mileage on it, but that truck was only $295,000. And when we went out to Pennsylvania to look at it, the folks that we brought in to look at it, professionals, said, if you don't buy it, I will. It was so well maintained by the volunteer fire department that had it, that it was such a great deal. But also in that budget, of that $12,000 increase, $10,000 of it was for gear, because the price of to outfit a firefighter from head to toe went from $3,000 to $6,000. So for 3 sets of gear, now it's $18,000. So that's why the budget went up to $28,000 to accommodate, so that the firefighters are in current compliant gear. So thank you for leading that charge on that, Keith.
And I know the ladder truck that we purchased for that price, the municipality we purchased it from bought the same truck, same model. They spent $2 million for a brand new one. Okay.
$295,000.
Okay. Moving on. Article 20. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $6,650 for emergency management? That's actually a $200 decrease from last year at $6,850. Any discussion on Article 20?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, sir.
I just want to bring this up because I doubt anybody here knows what that's for. Our 2 emergency management directors are here, the chief and the town manager. And in the event of an emergency, the Legion serves as a center, and they have substantial amount of equipment there, a generator, a sea container that's full of cots, blankets, anything that would be necessary if there was a disaster that required people to need shelter outside of their homes. And again, that's down $200 from last year. And as a comparison, Stowe is $9,200.
Any other discussion, questions on Article 20? Yes, Michael.
Yeah, so if somebody doesn't know, also our emergency operations center is now up above the highway garage. So there's money spent on that to equip it with radios, map boards, all the equipment we would need in case there's a emergency operations center had to be stood up. And we're dealing with back during 2019 when there was a flood. We had when Honoré Fleming's murder happened, they were using the fire station as the emergency operations center. And when fire department's there and the state police are there and everybody else, is not conducive to running an emergency operations center. So now we've moved it. It's up above the highway garage. It's got an emergency generator. So for the people, residents of Castleton, if something happens, we can function 24/7 and serve the folks of the town.
All right, moving on. Article 21. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $1,540,629 for the highway department? This is a change from $1,506,709 in the past budget. Any questions, comments, concerns regarding Article 21? Tim Smith.
Town Manager Mike, I know you've had some commentary on Front Porch Forum, just kind of resetting some expectations regarding level of service with the maintenance of the roads in the winter season. I guess my question for you or the foreman or the highway department is, are we fully staffed? Do we need more staff in the highway department or more equipment? Does this budget give that department everything they need to maintain the level of service that we all hope to receive?
Thanks for the question. If you ask Jeff, he'd always take more people. But We are fully staffed. We have 2 brand-new plow drivers, so certainly was a learning curve as they first year driving a big truck, plow truck. So there was some learning curves there. There may be some hate and discontent over the use of, or the non-use of salt, but if people read, they were crying about a shortage of road salt. Other towns were having issues, so I did ask them to cut back on that. And so that there was some angst around town on that. But we have adequate supply right now to use it for the rest of the year. But I have told them on these tertiary or secondary roads, it's like Bar Drive and Mary Lane and all those, is don't use salt on them. They're not high-speed avenues. There's no big curves on them. So plowing the road off and keeping it plowed will make the road safe. If it gets icy, then we will use it, but we're going to focus those resources on the main roads, especially intersections, sharp corners, or that kind of thing. But we started putting sand down rather than salt. Can we get better? We can always get better. To answer your question about, we have really nice equipment up there now, and the budget funds some of that. There is additional articles in here for paving and for equipment, because the price, a plow truck equipped, a tandem axle plow truck was $319,000. That's, people's houses, some are worth $319,000. So we can see where people get a little upset about the cost, but that's what it costs now to put a plow truck on the road. So we are adequately equipped. We got a really robust replacement schedule that the select board's reviewed. That's what we're trying to get this funding for, is to make sure that when they need to be replaced, that we have the money there to replace them and not have to say, sorry, our trucks aren't working and we can't get out there like we should be.
Any other questions, comments for Article 21? Hearing none, seeing none. Let's go to Article 22. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $36,000 for town lands? And that is a $6,000, or just over $6,000 upgrade from last year. Any questions, comments, concerns on Article 22? Hearing none, seeing none. Let's move on to Article 23. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $5,000, for historical cemeteries? That is level funded from last year at $5,000. Any discussion on Article 23? Article 24. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $31,000 for Hillside Cemetery? That as well is level funded from last year's budget at $31,000. Any discussion, questions on Article 24? Article 25, shall the town appropriate the sum of $3,223 for health regulating and inspecting? That is a change from $1,373 from last year. Any discussion, questions on Article 25?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
As part of that budget, I realize there has not been a large increase made since Mr. Leamy's passing, and perhaps that had to do with timing. I'm wondering what the town's considering going forward for filling that vacancy.
And who are we speaking with?
My apologies, Melanie Combs.
Okay.
So we did have a slight increase that's for filing all the paperwork. Jim has his own filing system, which was all based on paper and file cabinets that nobody can really follow, so everything's getting entered into a computer at this point. The one thing that we're going to have to look out for next year on this article is there's going to have to be an increase, because Jim did that job for all those years taking no salary. So we are going to have to fill that position at some point with somebody in. I probably can say that somebody's not going to do it for free like Jim did.
Okay. Any other questions, discussions regarding Article 25? Hearing none, seeing none. Let's go to Article 20. Oh, I'm sorry.
we have to search for somebody, but there's no budget for it right now. So I'm the deputy health officer, so right now I'm shouldering that until we can figure this out.
Okay, Article 26. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $6,581 for animal control? That's a change from $6,585 in the former budget. A nice $4 savings. Any questions, comments on Article 26? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 27. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $1,000 for the constable? That's also level funded from last year at $1,000. Any discussions, comments on the town constable, Article 27? Article 28. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $393,507 for the transfer station? Any questions, comments, concerns on Article 28? Yes, please, ma'am.
Susan Day, do we get any revenue from recycling these days? Or are we paying to have all this stuff fall away?
Recycling.
There's very little revenue coming through right now, Susan.
We're basically, we're just barely breaking even. We're to deposit like $500. Glass is worth nothing, so we have to get rid of it, and the other stuff is,
We have you use the
when
microphone.
people throw content.
We have you use the microphone. Folks online.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
The items that people throw into the bins and the plastic and the paper, if it's too much contamination in there, of things that they don't take, when Heath and his crew bring it over to the recycling center, they dump it out and they'll say, contaminated, and then we get charged for it. So when people throw things in the garbage that we ask them not to, it, in the long run, comes back and whips us in the backside. But there is no money in recycling right now at all.
Perhaps there should be some sign on the paper bin that shredded paper should not be put in it. I've been told it's garbage.
I'm not really sure if that's true or not, so he's back there.
No, shredded paper can go in that paper bin, as long as it's shredded white paper.
So the question was about shredded white paper in the paper bin. Our operator said it can be as long as it's shredded white paper.
Any other discussion on Article 28? We actually have a late online question regarding Article 27 regarding the $1,000 for the constable. The question was, what was the $1,000 for?
The town voted to do away with the elected constable position, and Chief Mantello was appointed as the constable. So under Vermont Leagues and Cities and Towns passive, which is our insurance carrier, he still has to be covered by insurance. So that's what it's covering.
Very good, thank you. Moving back up the line, any other discussion on Article 28 regarding the transfer station? Hearing none, seeing none, let's go to Article 29. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $228,165 for recreation? That's a change from $195,048 from last year's budget.
I'm not stealing your thunder, Bob. But on that, if you're not looking at this sheet, it's going to be very confusing on like what's in the recreation budget. This sheet has it broken down because we have Dewey Field, Hydeville Field, the buildings, rec administration, which is the wages and benefits for the recreation director, and the rec commission, because the rec commission also gets stipends, so that's included in the rec administration. So there's several things in there: youth sports, adult sports, Crystal Beach is in the rec budget. So this will show you a good breakdown of what each of those items budget is. But if you're looking at the one page, that's just going to give you the overall, and that includes everything. So hope that clarifies something.
Can I rattle off? I want to just speak to the
the increase, most of it, and in the FICA line, it says there, it was a formula error in 2025-26. It should have been $10,513. That's a $6,000. It shows that it's a $6,000 increase, but it's not. And the rest of the increases for stipends for activity directors and the rec commission. And the new rec coordinator and facilitator takes the health insurance and not the insurance buyout. That's a $15,379 increase. Again, health insurance.
Any other discussion on Article 29? Yes, ma'am.
Just
Please, please
Mary,
have the mic.
Mary
Please,
McIntyre.
let her bring you the microphone. Mary, let her bring you the microphone. People online can't hear you.
When you're making reference to these spreadsheets, you guys have them out in front of you. Could you just tell us what page they are? Because I see a lot of rustling going on. If you could just tell us like where to find the figures.
It was page 12 of 15, Mary.
Thank you.
If my numbers are right on this one. Yes, 12 of 15. I don't know. Do I have the wrong version?
Any other discussion for Article 29? Okay, moving along. Article 30. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $21,800 for Memorial Day decorations and the 4th of July parade? That's a change from $15,200 in last year's budget. Any discussion, questions regarding Article 30? Hearing none, seeing none.
I want to say something about the 4th of July.
Yes.
Not a lot of people know that.
So this year, the 4th of July is going to be at the university in the stadium. Fireworks going to be out the North Pond because it's 250-year celebration. So I contacted Lori, who handles all the events, and so it's going to be there. We're the only show on the road that day. It's going to be on a Friday. It's not going to be on the 4th, so it's going to be Friday, July 3rd. That parade will be in the morning, but that'll come. People that are here know they're on the committee for that. I'll send an email out, but it's going to be there's going to be Satin and Steel, a band going to be playing prior to the fireworks. So I'm real excited. This is going to be awesome.
Was there a question on the increase, though, or just?
I don't believe I saw any here.
So the increase in here, the price of the fireworks went up $6,500 over the previous year. Some of it's due to tariffs. The other thing was because it's the 250th anniversary of our nation, and they're going to make their money on it, I guess. So that's what the big increase was. There's still the parade and the fireworks. I'm not sure. So the fireworks are going to be here on the university property. They're going to have the stadium open, the old college pond. That'd be like the discharge point. So they're going to have vendors. They're going to have music. So that will follow the parade.
In the last couple of years, the popularity of the fireworks has really risen. And last year, it caused a real safety concern that people would just stop on the side of the road. Route 30 was barely passable. Float Bridge Road, completely impassable. If there had ever been a need for an emergency vehicle, a fire truck, or an ambulance, it would have taken hours to get across Float Bridge. That a lot of communities have dropped these celebrations, so we're getting people from pretty far away coming to see ours. So the decision that it just wasn't safe to hold it at Crystal Beach anymore, even though it's a beautiful venue, it creates an unmanageable traffic problem, a disaster waiting to happen. So the university has the parking that's necessary to hold that many people.
I don't need a microphone. Eric's flat. Is it going to be permanently off the lake now? Is that what I'm hearing?
Just speak up because the folks online can't hear you. I'll repeat your question, Eric.
Location, there won't be any more fireworks on the lake itself from this point on.
The question was, will this be a permanent thing for the 4th of July celebration at the university campus as opposed to being on the lake?
It would appear that that is going to be the case because of the traffic consideration. Unless there's some way to come up with a venue that has parking for hundreds and hundreds of cars. I know it's sad to see it not at the lake. It's such a beautiful place for it, but,
I understand this year, I was just curious. That's what I got.
Mary McIntyre.
Just for clarification, you're talking that the fireworks are going to happen. It won't happen if we don't pass this, correct?
Correct. The question was, the fireworks won't happen if this article does not pass. That is correct.
Thank you.
Just for some more background, this select board has been concerned with the safety of the fireworks at Crystal Beach for several years. And every year we've been watching the situation, and last year was just dangerous. It was untenable. Had there been a problem, I don't even know if a car could get through there, could they be? And so this board made the decision to see if we could move the venue here to the campus, where it would be much safer and easier for people to see as well, because we also anticipated a large increase in the audience that gets drawn in, because I don't know about Pulteney, but Pulteney's iffy as whether they're going to have fireworks or not. So we anticipate a larger crowd, and we just, in good conscience, could not continue to have it at Crystal Beach and consider public safety at the same time. So it's with regret that we changed the venue, but we felt we had no choice.
Any other questions regarding Article 30?
Next lady had her hand up, I don't know.
There were a lot of fireworks anyway around the lake.
Well, I'm feeling there'll be some more.
Okay. Moving on. Article 31. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $141,618 for library administration? This is an increase from $131,738 from last year. Any questions, comments regarding Article 31? Hearing none, seeing none. Yes, sir.
I thought someone would be here from the library, so I'm just going to speak up.
Nancy Marcus, Nancy
Oh.
Marcus.
On the wrong line.
Nancy, do you want to speak?
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you have been to the library in the last year, but Castleton has the nicest library I've ever been to, and they have really dynamic staff. If you go by there almost every night of the week, there's activities going on for kids of all ages. The librarians help you find books that would interest you. By the time you've taken 2 out, they've got one ready for you. They know what you like. They're really, really helpful. But the children's programs that go on are just extraordinary. So if you haven't been to our library recently, I really encourage you to go. They're doing a tremendous job.
Thank you, Mark. If I could just add to that, I don't know if I can be heard now.
Yes, we can hear you now, Nancy. Go ahead.
Well, I thank you, and all of that is true. Things have, our programs, our circulation, all of that has definitely increased. And I wanted to add that some of our increases are connected to the new elevator that we have gaining access for everybody now to our library. It's the electricity is more, the emergency phone costs more, our insurance now costs more, but now everybody in our communities can access our library, and we're really proud of that. And all of that was done, just parenthetically, without any taxes. We raised $900,000 to be able to build that addition and install that elevator, which really has allowed part of this increase in, all of the use of our library. And I wanted to also just say one more thing to build on what Chief Mantello mentioned about the increased needs of community members in the area of mental health. Libraries are also a place where people can find community and comfort. And I know that our librarians provide that, as well as helping people fix their iPhones. So There's a lot going on in our library. And I do thank you, Mark, for your comments and for our community's support.
Thank you. Okay. Any other discussion for Article 31? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 32, shall the town appropriate the sum of $1,884 for prevention and control of forest fires? That is level funded from last year's budget at $1,884. Any questions, comments on Article 32? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 33, shall the town appropriate the sum of $12,981 for tree warden? That's a change from $12,183 from last year. Any questions, comments, discussion regarding Article 33? Article 34, shall the town appropriate the sum of $43,000 for other government Rutland County tax? That as well as level funded from last year at $43,000, yes. Any questions, comments on Article 34? Moving right along. Article 35, shall the town of Castleton vote to raise, appropriate, and expend the sum of $3,000 for the support of Slate Valley Cares to provide food security services to residents of the town of Castleton, Vermont? Any discussion, questions, comments on Article 35? Hearing none. Oh, Mr. Brown.
Another extraordinary group in our community that many people may not be aware of. They operate out of the basement of the Federated Church. Really, really dedicated group of people there. I'm sorry, I've got egg on my face here. I'm promoting Castleton Cares. I'm going to wait for that one.
Any other questions on Article 35? Moving right along, Article 36, shall the town of Castleton vote to raise, appropriate, and expend the sum of $5,000 for the support of Boys and Girls Club of Rutland County to provide services to the residents of the town? Any questions, comments on Article 36? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 37, shall the town deem necessary and appropriate $3,500 for the support of ARC Rutland area, determining that the program serves the residents of the town with advocacy, resources, and community for citizens with developmental disabilities and their families? Any questions, comments, concerns on Article 37? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 38, shall the town deem necessary and appropriate $3,600 for administrative support of Castleton Cares Incorporated, determining the program serves the residents of the town with emergency assistance to local people in need? Any questions? Mr. Brown.
This is what I intended to speak about. They operate out of the basement of the Federated Church. They have a wonderful little store where people in need can come and do their own shopping. Locally sourced, healthy meals available. The woman that is the director also cooks some meals for people that they can eat on site. I know the chief and his department are heavily involved there. They deliver meals for them at holidays. It gives the police department an opportunity to check on our vulnerable population, people that may have a difficult time getting out of their homes. And it's a tremendous organization taking care of our community. I would really encourage everyone to support this.
Any other questions, comments on Article 38? Hearing none, seeing none, let's move to Article 39. Shall the town deem necessary and appropriate $25,000 for the support of Castleton Community Seniors Incorporated, determining that the program serves residents of the town with the operation of the Castleton Community Center, the old homestead? Any discussion? You bring this like that. Sue DeCarolis.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Sue DeCarolis. I'm a member of the Castleton Community Center Board, and I'm here tonight to be a participant in our town meeting, but also I'd like to just make a few remarks. First, I really want to thank the ongoing support that the community center has received from the residents of Castleton. You guys have supported us each and every year in our request for $25,000. And I want to assure you that every penny of that has been put to excellent use. And in a few moments, you'll know why. I've got to have my glasses. Okay. So we don't take your financial support for granted either. We want you to know that as well. But we do want to remind you that we offer a really full array of programs and events. 40 different kinds of programs and events. And yes, we are a senior center, but you don't have to be a senior to participate there. And we offer, you're most welcome. We offer so much from Mahjong and bridge to a series of wellness activities such as Tai Chi, yoga, and ever popular bone builders, to a variety of great courses in history, many of which have been hosted by Joe Mark. Hey, you can take guitar there, ukulele, piano, you can be in a vocal group. So there's really surely something for everyone. So we really want to emphasize that we are a senior center, but we welcome people who are not seniors, okay? So come along. And if you would bear with me, I am speaking on behalf of the Castleton Community Board, and I do want to make some remarks about our executive director who is retired, Joanne Riley. And we were absolutely thrilled to see that the town report honored Joanne. And I am going to speak of Joanne and Lori Knauer, and I'm going to recognize them. I want to congratulate them and thank them. And there's not enough thanks that can be given and congratulate them on their retirement. And both of them concluded really incredible careers. They concluded their career at the center after 20 years of working as if it was a glove in a hand with Joanne and Lori. And when they first started together, I think there were 2 activities. Joanne, I don't know, 2 activities. They're 40 now, okay? So I really think that you would all probably join me in really thanking them for developing and sustaining such a wonderful resource in this community. We have been blessed.
Agreed.
Thank you. And if you could believe it, I just have one more thing to do. And that is to introduce. Oh my. Oh, there she is on Zoom. This is Marisa White. And I just wanted to say a couple things about Marisa. Very short. And here they are. Marisa is up there at the top right-hand corner. She's been waiting very patiently. She is our newly hired executive director and attending our town meeting because she does want to share a few words and follow in the footsteps of Joanne, who I know you're probably all looking to hear from as she's done the reports for 20 years. But we thank Marissa. She holds an associate degree in human services and has been a leader for about 10 years in nonprofit organizations working with senior citizens, and most recently left a position to come to our community center from the Rutland Community Programs in a and senior volunteers. So without further ado, is it okay that Marisa say a few remarks? Thank you for.
She has the floor.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, Sue, and thank you everybody for having me. So my name's Marisa, and I am the new executive director. Have not been in the role quite a month yet, but I have worked with Joanne for at least the past 8 years, coming from RSVP. And I want to start out by thanking the town of Castleton for their continued support for this program, because it is an amazing program and we offer so many activities. And another thing that is a incredible thing that we have at the community center is all of the volunteers. A lot of them are from the Castleton area, and if you come into the center, you will see volunteers wandering around, whether they are answering the phone, providing a friendly face to greet people, watering plants, even helping out with maintenance, but they are also the ones that run the programs at the center as well. And we could not do it without their continued support. This past year, we have provided the Castleton residents with 1,029 senior meals. We also provided wellness classes to over 70 Castleton residents. And like Sue said, we do offer about 40 different programs, and about 330 Castleton residents attended those programs this past year as well. I will keep it short and want to thank everybody again. And I do have some really big shoes to fill with being Joanne's replacement, but I'm up for the challenge, and please do not hesitate to stop by the center and meet me.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on Article 39? And thanks again to Mrs. Riley for all she's done over the years. Very well deserved. Article 40. Shall the town of Castleton vote to raise, appropriate, and expend the sum of $3,500 for the support of the partial funding of Marble Valley Regional Transit District's the bus public transit service to the residents of the town? Any discussion on Article 40? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 41. Shall the town deem necessary and appropriate $6,720 to support the Rutland area visiting nurses and hospice, $550 to support Rutland area hospice, and $6,170 to support Ravna Home and Community Health Services? Any questions, discussions on Article 41? Yes, ma'am. The microphone's coming your way. And please identify yourself once you get it. Thank you.
Thank you. So Jessica Fredette, I am the Chief Human Resource and Development Officer with the BNA and Hospice of the Southwest region. A mouthful, I know. So I'd love to start by just thanking this community for their continued support for the services we're able to provide to your community members. Just some high-level stats about what we're doing in the state. We are the largest home health agency in the state. We continue to grow our footprint so that we can continue to provide the services that are so critical to all members of our community. Some of you may not realize that we are providing services to expecting moms all the way up through death, so the full life cycle, and we're very proud to be able to provide those services. We are turning 80, or we just turned 80 years old this year, so we're not going anywhere. We look to stay for another 80 years, and that's why your support remains critical. In 2025, we saw over 4,000 patients. Our staff drove 1.3 million miles, yes, in the state of Vermont. Our service area covers Rutland, Bennington, and Franklin counties. And so we continue to ask for your support. It's critical to the success of our ability to provide the services that are so needed in the community. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion for Article 41? Sue DeCarolis.
I am sorry, but I just have to say that I think this is a time that is critical And I don't think, I really have to say this to the residents, how critical it is to have this service provided in our community. And I know they helped my mother.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have a very loud voice. They helped my mother-in-law, and they helped my husband, and they helped me. And they are, I think the small amount of money we put is well worth it. I would encourage everybody to vote yes. Vote yes.
Very good. Thank you. Moving on, Article 42. Shall the town deem necessary and appropriate $4,088 for the support of Rutland Mental Health Services, determining that the program serves residents of the town with counseling, substance abuse, and emergency services? Any discussions, comments, concerns on Article 42? Mary McIntyre.
Mary McIntyre.
Chief, with the increase in your calls for Rutland, for mental health, is this agency able to help you?
I don't know, there's a lot of, let me just mention a few things. I don't want to go on a rant on mental health. It does, obviously there are 2 embedded counselors. BSP has one, Rutland City has one. Sometimes we can get the counselor embedded at the barracks and state police out in our area. She does give our schedule. But it's not just that piece of it. It's actually the piece that there's no really permanent residential care where they need more than 3 days, 72 hours. And the other protocol is that they can't, once they leave the facility there for 3 days or whatever, if they're up or if they're on the 4th floor for 7, they can't make them take medication. So then that's what happens with us. So you get 5 people that have issues in this community and they cycle, right? They stop taking their meds and then we have to deal with them. So to answer your question, Mary, they've been of help. I'm not going to say they haven't. I just think the system itself needs more than what that provides.
Thank you. Sudakaros. We're making the young lady run a lot here.
Well, it's an opportunity, one we need to know.
Regarding Rutland Mental Health, and I am not throwing them under the bus. They are understaffed, they can't get counselors in, and I really want people to think, I know that the chief and his staff are doing a lot. Let me tell you what schools are doing. They are doing a ton. And I think Julie and Tim here probably would say that we have a mental health crisis and we have a Rutland agency understaffed. So many of our kids are put off for 3-4 months and said, let's go to the emergency room. People really need to know that. And I know I've been active with our legislators in really saying also, if the Department of Health and Human Services have got to know that the need is not being covered, and if it means that the schools can get the counselors in, do you know what I mean? That's what they're doing so kids can get service. So hope people, keep that in mind. I know, Chief, you've got quite a role to play in your enforcement, your police officers, but boy, it is really also, the need is being met by schools. And you know what? Be active with your legislators and let them know, that our kids are not necessarily getting the coverage because they don't have enough people to do it, So thank you, Mike.
Yes. I can absolutely say that hearing from my spouse, school board chair, that many of the services our schools provide to children today have nothing to do with reading, writing, and arithmetic. These are services that the community needs and the schools provide them in large part. Enough of that. All right, Article 43. Shall the town deem necessary and appropriate $900 for the support of RSVP and the Volunteer Center, determining that the program serves residents of the town with volunteering opportunities and community services? Any questions, comments, concerns regarding Article 43? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 44. Shall the town deem necessary and appropriate $2,000 for the support of Southwestern Vermont Council on Aging, determining that the program serves residents of the town with elder services? Any questions, comments, concerns regarding Article 44? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 45. Shall the town deem necessary and appropriate $1,000 for the support of Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, determining that the program serves residents of the town with services to enable the blind and visually impaired to achieve and maintain independence? Any questions, comments, concerns regarding Article 45? Hearing none, seeing none. Moving right along. Article 46. Shall the town deem necessary and appropriate $2,725 for the support of Brock Community Action in southwestern Vermont, determining that the program serves residents of the town with weatherization, emergency food, and small business development? Any questions, comments, concerns on Article 46? Question. Hearing none, seeing none. Article 47. Shall the voters of the town of Castleton vote to exempt the real and personal property of the Bonacine Valley Grange, number 273, from taxation for a period of 5 years to become effective this current year and remain in effect for 5 consecutive years pursuant to 32 Vermont State Article Section 3840. Any questions, comments, concerns on Article 47? Hearing none and seeing none. Article 48. Shall the town of Castleton vote to exempt all non-income producing real and personal property owned by Lee Lodge, number 30, a nonprofit organization, from taxation for a period not exceeding 5 years? Any questions regarding Article 48? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 49. Shall the town of Castleton vote to exempt all non-income producing real and personal property owned by the Castleton Community Seniors, a nonprofit organization, from taxation for a period not exceeding 5 years? Any questions, comments, concerns regarding Article 49? Tim Smith.
I guess concerning 47, 48, and 49, they speak of the real and personal property. 48 and 49 are specific to non-income producing property, whereas the Grange is not. So I guess the question is it the entire property and campus of these 3 places that are going to become exempt? And if you could just give us an idea of how much revenue might be sacrificed if these 3 locations become exempt. Thank you.
No. Refer that to the board.
Well, in the cases of Article 48 and 49, their income producing property that they currently own is being taxed and will be in the future. What this is continuing what has been done for quite some time, possibly decades. For instance, let me make sure I got this right. The Lee Lodge property, for example, we don't charge real estate. We have them exempt from real estate taxes on their upstairs where they meet, but downstairs where they have a business, which is Third Place Pizza, that property is real, has value, and gets taxed. So what we're doing is we're going to continue that, with your permission, on into the future. So we're not going to be losing any income, nor will we be gaining any. We're just going to allow a nonprofit to be just that. What they have for profit, they get taxed on, and what they use as their nonprofit does not. Is that clear enough?
Yes, thank you.
We also have an online question. What are the benefits of to the town of the exemptions on Article 47 and 48, and why are they non-taxable? You probably just said that.
Those are
It's another
nonprofit entities,
question
so I
for
think
you.
that explains that. Lee Lodge and the Grange, they give back to the community. They do a lot, and they're an established nonprofit, so they should be treated as such.
Very good. Yeah, we also have a question of what is the Lee Lodge, and that's what you just said. See, we're getting online questions with a delay, and so you're answering things and the questions come in. That's why I'm not sounding that stupid. Okay. All right. Any other discussion on Article 49? Okay. On to the main event. Okay. Article 50. Now, before we read Article 50 and have discussion, I know this can be a passionate issue with residents of the town on both sides of this. Okay. And we will give leeway to discussion, and just to preempt that we want lively discussion, but friendly discussion. Okay. All right. With that being said, let's begin. Article 50. Shall the voters of Castleton approve the transfer by the town of Castleton to Zachary R. Hale and or assignee, Castleton Place, LLC, the following real property for the sale price of $124,000, open land, approximately 18.28 acres in size, located on Sand Hill Road, Castleton, Vermont, also referred to as parcel number 0901100011, if I got that right, as set forth in the notice of conveyance published pursuant to 24 VSA 1061 in the Rutland Herald on December 6, 2025, and in the Lakeside News and Rutland Sun on December 20th, 2025, to build a 4-story, 99-unit senior facility. Okay. Question of the night, Article 50, discussion. Questions, comments, and concerns. The floor is yours. Yes, sir, your name.
Fingerhut.
Wait for the microphone, please, so the online folks can hear you. Thank you.
How is the price of $124,000? How did we arrive at that number?
So this property was donated from Castleton University, when it was Castleton College, to the town to be used for economic development. And it was appraised, and that was determined to be the fair market value.
Was there any comparison on other properties?
I couldn't really speak to this. This goes back a number of years, way before I was on the board. This has been in negotiation now for 10 years.
Zach Hale's, he's here, he's the one that the conveyance was due. What year did you sign the sales agreement?
Early 2000s, I think, that it was signed, but it's been since 2017 that it's really beneficial.
First purchase and sale agreement was 2019.
I have another one.
Yes. Those with their hands up, we'll get to you, but just keep your hands up.
May I
We'll
ask
get to you.
another question?
Go ahead, sir.
This might be totally inappropriate.
I hope so.
But is it possible, by show of hand, to find out how you board members would vote on this?
That's not appropriate. We're on public record in the newspaper.
You could phrase the question differently, if we support it or don't support it.
That's the question. And so I think it's up to you guys to determine if you want to move this forward or not.
Because I think some of them are up for reelection.
Yeah, I think that that's a fair question. Yeah. I'm very, very much in favor of it. Our chairman, Mr. Holmes, is in favor of it. Mr. Spalding's in favor of it. Mrs. Harris lives adjacent to that property.
And I'm not in favor of it.
And Rob Steele.
I'm gonna do the same thing I did the last time and say, honestly, I'm not comfortable telling anybody my vote. I don't feel that I know enough on it at the time. It came before I was on the board, and you know, I can see both sides of it. I can see the benefits, and I can see the issues that the townspeople have on their area. So,
Would you like to know why I'm in favor of it?
Sure.
Okay. I think, you know, this is one of the most important things that's faced our community in decades. And it disappoints me there aren't more people here because everyone should weigh in on this. I'm disappointed that the narrative has been moved to how much it costs for someone to stay at this facility. I'm not sure that that is something that the community needs to take up. That if this was a restaurant that was opening, we wouldn't be going, well, how much do they charge for a steak dinner? If it's too much, if the average person can't afford it, we don't want that restaurant here. You know, we didn't ask that question for any other business, and I don't see where that really affects the outcome here. To me, the issue is, would this business be good for the town of Castleton? And to me, the overwhelming answer is yes. It would be a brand new 99-unit facility, a brand new building, all built to code, nicely landscaped, in an area that has municipal water and septic. It would be the largest single taxpayer in the community, and I think we can all agree that we could use that. They would pay for their water and their sewer separately, so they would actually enhance those systems. There would be no children, so they wouldn't increase the costs at our school. Based on its sister building up in Berlin, they would employ about 70 people. That would include nurses, RNs, LPNs, housekeepers, cooks, maintenance people, and servers. Many of the servers that I witnessed in Berlin were local high school and college kids, and they were certainly well-trained and well-coached. You know, they wore uniforms, they were polite, they'd been really well-trained. It was a great opportunity for young people to work part-time. With 99 new residential units, it would offer some new opportunities for local businesses. That's 99 people that are consumers. Obviously, people in the memory care unit, not as much, but 50 of them are independent living. So I think there would be opportunities for local farmers to supply food, hairdressers, to be increased business for local restaurants, craft sellers, all retail. In addition, they provide rides to people that don't drive to visit local stores. I believe there's an opportunity to partner with the university, not just for people in a nursing program, but part-time labor, part-time people like we had just discussed with servers. It would give local people of a certain age the opportunity to stay in their own community as they age. And I think that's really, really important. And as that happened, it would open up some homes in our community for sale. So hopefully we could attract some new, younger families. If you look around this room, we're an aging population. You know, it's not the long-term plan for any town. We need to find a way to get young families into our community. There's been some concerns brought up about whether this would overtax our local facilities. I did some checking on police. They don't have that many calls at the senior center, and I don't think they would here either. As far as fire, this would be a brand new building that's fully alarmed, sprinkled, and has 24/7 supervision. So I don't think it would overwhelm our fire department. Sewer, again, that's paid by user. So they actually would make our local sewer system more robust with the money that they would put into it. The road by it is already maintained. I think there would be a minimal impact. There certainly would be, again, 50 of the people that live there would be independent. I'm guessing that many would have cars. And of course, people that work there would drive up and down the road. To me, it's all win. I understand that there's people here that don't want it in their neighborhood, and I understand that. It's a big building, it's a 4-story building. It looks similar to the dorms that are here at the college.
Excuse me, ma'am. Please no, okay? Let's keep this civil, okay? Thank you.
But change is hard, but I think this would be a good change for our community. That's my personal feeling.
With the extent.
Just a quick question, Mark. Who's going to cover the emergency services there?
Pardon me?
Who's going to cover the emergency services there?
As far as ambulance?
Yes.
That would be Rutland Regional.
Please identify yourself and use the microphone, please.
Oh, right. And part of the Castleton First Response as well.
17,000 of that first response budget is for Rutland Ambulance Service. So that's how we get them in our town, is it's paid through the Castleton First Response budget.
Abby Cohen, I would just like to hear from Mary Harris as to why you would not want it, just so we can hear the opposing opinion.
I oppose it for several reasons. It does not fit the area. Most of the houses on that road are ranch houses. Mine is a 1.5 story. There's a 2-story across the road. Down at the end there is a 2-story, but most of them, it just doesn't fit. And it's not that we're against the senior living, we're against the size of it. If it were like 2 stories, we wouldn't feel as much against it. It's also, let's look at it from a different point of view. Let's look at it from the person that's living there. We don't have, like Berlin, they're right at a mall. They can walk to Walmart. They can go get a hairdresser. They can go to a grocery store. They can go to a restaurant, all within walking distance. There's no sidewalks on Sand Hill Road. I can't see how they can even be put on Sand Hill Road without practically taking the people's front porch. I don't think we're doing them a service by having 99 units. And I guess I can't say much more. Yes, it's right next to my cornfield. And as a matter of fact, way back, that was my property. As a 24-year-old, we had to sell it to Gilmore in order to put money into the house because the house was unmovable. Sorry I did it.
Other discussion? Yes, ma'am. Your name, please.
Meredith Fabian?
Microphone's coming. You telling your chefs tonight? I hope so.
Meredith Fabian. I just wanted to speak a little bit. I know you guys are talking about how there would be very minimal traffic increase, but I want to remind you that this is for 55 and above. Do you know the number of 55-year-olds, 65-year-olds, 70-year-olds who still go to work every day? So you are taking the possibility of adding 100 trips up and down our road just from the 50 units, because I'm sorry, they're 2-person units, 2 people can live there. So that's 100 more back and forth just for people going to work. You haven't thought of that. The building itself is literally being a carbon copy. It's being cut and pasted from much larger, much more populated areas. If you look at where the Berlin facility is, if you look at an aerial view, miles before you will even see one house, There are not houses there. It is not a residential area. It's next to a mall inside a new city center or town center that they have designed around it. It is not, it is put there, and even if you go to one of the developers' partners' websites, they will tell you how it's perfect for the elderly for all those reasons, and how it's conveniently located next to the highway. It can be reached. There are, I think we counted 16 medical offices within less than 2 miles of that area, plus their area hospital. So I know everyone wants to downplay how much could actually happen at this facility, but it's drastic. I mean, we are talking about setting a precedent that we are going to let developers come here, and our select board is going to say, really and truly, you don't have to develop or even put any thought whatsoever into our town and how our town wants to see itself and be. We are a small town, rural community. I don't know about a lot of you, but I'm guessing when you bought your house here, that's probably why. You didn't want to live in Rutland City where you have 4-story buildings. You just didn't want to do it. So I think that there needs to be a lot of consideration given, and had the developer, it was discussed. There were mediations. There were a million different times that the developer could have adjusted many portions of this and refused to. I believe about the only thing they gave was the placement of the trash cans and some shrubs out front. So this developer obviously is not working with our town. Our town has decided that this developer should be handed this project. So I think people need to look carefully. I encourage you all to go to www.nota50.com. There is a lot of information on there. And I think you'll find some interesting facts.
Can I respond to one of those questions?
Please.
So the developer, I believe the developer did move the location of the building within that lot.
Yes, they moved it down from on top of the hill.
Okay, so they did make a concession.
Oh yes, they made it so it's not visible from every single acre of land in town. That's about the only thing they did.
As far as traffic, I certainly don't know who would be living there. I can tell you that I spent several hours at the facility in Berlin, and in 2 hours that I sat out front, there were 2 vehicles that came, people visiting. I'm not saying that that's indicative of what will happen of who lived there, just the best information that I could find.
Back here. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Wait for the microphone, please, okay?
Wait for the mic.
I gotta count my steps. I need to. There you go. Just say your name, please.
My name is Glenda Bird.
Close.
Yeah, it's much too loud.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Okay. I'm not here to speak in favor or against it. I am here to say that in reading the brochure that everybody in town received, there is a lot of incorrect information. And in order to make an informed decision, you really need to have the facts. And I just hope everybody does ask their questions to the appropriate people and get appropriate answers. A lot of things are, I don't think any of these numbers are cast in stone in terms of how much it would cost per month. But
Straight from their website.
it doesn't, it states in there that it's rent. Well, it's not rent, that it's a housing cost, it's a monthly cost. It does say rent in here.
It's on the website in Berlin. That's how much it costs.
We just let her speak. Go ahead. Thank you.
It's all right. I'm not that important. But it is important for this community to know what they're voting on. I think that the town is going to be putting up a Zoom meeting. There are going to be people who there have been marketability studies that show that we need that number of rooms. That one family in town had to put their loved one in a facility in St. Johnsbury because there wasn't a room available. Now, I don't know, Mark, what you found when you went up in terms of availability for rooms, but I've been told in the past that they're pretty full. I know people do pass away, and then they fill the rooms again, partly because of the age group. But I hate to see our people have to move out of town and be away from families that far when they've spent their whole life in Castleton. I don't know where some of the facts come from, but it says all private pay, no Medicaid, no Medicare accepted. That is illegal. You know, I've been a part of nursing in hospitals as well as nursing homes, and that is simply illegal. It shouldn't even be on the brochure. I don't know again where that came from, but you know, think about it.
It is factual. And it's Zach. Yeah, I think Zach could probably address it the best.
I'm just, keep going.
That's
Keep
all
going.
right. You just take it.
Okay. Who's
I'm
next?
gonna get to speak
Good.
anyway.
You are. And you are.
Susan Fingerhut.
There you are.
I have, I sort of put together, based on the numbers, how much the Hale organization would be making every month and annually off of our beautiful rural property. And I think it's astronomical, the amount of money that his organization is going to reap from this area. Second point, I do not think the average person in Castleton will be afford to live in this place. I think the average rate of income was $57,000. And Ms. Bird, Gwenda, you have to sell everything. You have to sell your home and give them your Social Security, and then you are left with like $500 or $600 a month. And then, as it is in the Berlin place, they increase the rates all the time. So this fellow is getting a lot back that the town is not getting in terms of benefits. I didn't even mention the ugliness.
Who's next?
I know it.
Katie Hill.
All right, I'm going to touch on a couple things.
State your name.
My name is Katie Culpo. I live in Castleton. I live on Sand Hill Road. So it's been a long process through this whole thing. But a lot of the questions, even with Medicaid and Medicare and private pay, quite honestly, we learned more about this process as we went through the environmental court and Supreme Court process. Many of these questions we asked during the DRB process. Who's going to run this? How is it be paid for? How are people going to do things? We didn't get answers. Quite honestly, we didn't get answers. And things even changed when we went through the process. To summarize, it went through our DRB process. Our DRB originally, I think it was August of 2022, I think it was 2022, said, okay, you can build it, but there are certain conditions you have to meet. Then the developers asked for a reconsideration hearing. People had never heard of that. But that's what happened. So in August 22, they asked for a reconsideration hearing. So that went through the process, and then the decision of that, I believe, was October 2022. Our DRB, with town council, came back harder and said it doesn't meet our local zoning. Yep, you can build it, but you need to meet these requirements. This didn't meet our local zoning. We were like, okay. They couldn't do memory care. You can't have all of these different levels of care and facilities. It's not a nursing home. It's not a long-term care facility. It's 50 units of independent pay apartments, high end. Who's going to be able to afford to live there? And it's 31 units of assisted living, high cost, and 18 units of memory care, all in one building, didn't meet our zoning. With town legal counsel, our DRB said no. These are your restrictions. The developers brought it to the environmental court. The developers, not us, not the neighbors, the developers. And they wanted a summary judgment in their favor. You don't have to listen to local zoning. The environmental court said, yeah, okay, developers, you win. Okay, when they went to the environmental court, we as the neighbor said, well, we at least want to sit at the table. So we hired legal counsel. The environmental court said, you developers can do what you want. So we appealed it to the Supreme Court. Now, mind you, the town manager and our select board has also had legal counsel. So our town has been paying legal counsel to fight what our DRB, with our legal counsel, decided. So just kind of wrap your brain around that as well. So we appealed it, we the neighbors appealed it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, no, actually you do need to pay attention to local zoning, and their local zoning is very clear. So it was remanded by the Supreme Court back to the environmental court. The environmental court once again said, yep, okay, town or developers, you can do what you want. So we again, that's where we're at right now. We appealed it once again to the Supreme Court. That's where we're at. Does that make sense? Was I clear? Because it is confusing. So that's kind of how it's been. We, the neighbors, did not bring it to the Supreme Court environmental court level. The developers did, because they want to take that exact Berlin building and plop it here in Vermont. To the point where the first meeting that we ever went to at the DRB, I believe it was August of 2021. Now we're all coming out of COVID. We're all in our hidey holes. We don't even know what's going on around the town. And we went there, and I'm not kidding you, the specs, and I still have them in my house, they said Berlin, Vermont on them. They didn't even say Castleton. They literally are taking the building from Vermont and they're putting it here. So that's the background of how we got here today. So some of the levels of care, but it is 50 units independent living, 31 units of assisted living, and 18 units of memory care. It's not a nursing home. It's not long-term rehabilitation. It's not short-term rehabilitation. So I want to address a couple things. Number one, who will...
You mentioned a lot of things twice.
Okay.
Please.
So I've heard over and over, great, I work here at Castleton. I coordinate our health promotion program. But so lots of collaboration. If it was a nursing home or long-term care, yes, lots of nurses. You'd have lots of skilled nurses. So you'd have lots of collaboration. The staff at Berlin has one registered nurse on duty at a time. You're not going to be able to put a lot of nursing students there, right? You may have some volunteers and working with some other things. It's costly. The other thing I'm concerned about, and Mark, you've said this a couple times, there's no children involved. And that just always hasn't resonated with me. Many communities that are building foundations, they're bringing in young families and children. So I don't know, you might address that, because that's always that's kind of stuck with us. But I guess I'll end there. I just wanted you to understand the background. Good, I'm done.
Please identify yourself.
Hi, my name is Chris Brown. I guess I have multiple questions to the board, if I could. My main interest in this topic is I think the valuation is light. Is this a current appraisal?
The appraisal in Berlin.
The appraisal for the land.
124. Is that a current appraisal price?
Last fall.
And are we contractually obligated right now at that number if this passes?
Correct.
Just for a basis of comparison, if you ever go to West Rutland, the new residential housing, I own 2 of those 3 lots they needed there, and it's a matter of public record. So I don't mind telling you for 0.6 acres, they paid $320. So I'm thinking for this kind of acreage, that price just seems way low to me, irregardless of the fact that, potentially there's a high profit enterprise going in there. Have they got comparables and everything?
When it was appraised, I imagine, this was several years ago, it's been on the market for years without any interest. So I think, the market determines the value more than anything else.
Okay, well, I think if we have to revisit it, if it doesn't pass, that we should be asking more for it.
Yeah, I think it's been on the market for over 10 years and there's been one interested party, so we could raise the price.
Just a quick statement on that.
Please wait for the microphone, please.
It was a couple of years ago.
Well, please wait for the microphone so the folks online can hear you. Speak up, please.
Wenda Bird again, and I am a realtor in town. And I did have that property on the market. Gosh, I'd have to look it up, but you're close when you say 10 years. But it was 2 or 3 years ago. When was the contract signed with Hale Development? You have any idea?
5 years ago, probably.
Okay. At that time, I'm not familiar with the exact time, but several real estate brokers in the area, and I was one of them, and we brought comparable sales at the time and brought them to the board. And it was a comparable price at the time, but 5 years is a long time. And if we're under contract, then we can't change that price. If we go out of contract, yes, you can raise the price. But at the time, that was a fair market assessment for that many acres, okay?
So who hasn't spoken? Mary Drogi.
Hi, Mary Drogi, Castleton. I would just like the select board to tell us what happens if the town votes no. What's the next step?
If the town votes no, then we can't sell the property, and I'm not sure where we go from there, Zach. I don't know what if any recourse we have other than to, I think in our contract, we're obligated to return our deposits. Wasn't that part of the contract? Or at least part of the deposits, and then the deal is off, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone else jump in?
So it would just go back on the market, essentially.
We'd put it back on the market. It was on the market for 10 years. Or don't forget, everyone needs to know there's a covenant in that deed that it has to be for economic development. We did at one time have someone approach us about putting a high-end residence there, and we couldn't sell it to them. Couldn't even entertain the possibility. So it can only be done for economic development. We can only put a business on that property. So we're kind of constrained to that. We got a grand total of 1 offer in 10 years. And that's the offer that's on the table now.
Someone who hasn't spoke yet, ma'am? Your microphone, please.
Have the microphone?
It's coming. Please identify yourself too.
Okay, my name is Carol Henners. I live on Suncrest Terrace, which empties out onto Sand Hill Road. I would be able to see this 4-story building from my living room window. Now, I just would like to point out historically that back in 2009, the town had property where the university stadium is now, and we traded that piece of property for the property on Sand Hill Road, which was owned by the college. And the college strapped that property with a covenant, making it difficult to sell. I just wanted to say that. And that happened in 2009, if you look back in your records.
Anyone else care to speak that has not spoken? Yes, sir.
Hi, John Tarilla, live on Suncrest Terrace also. Just a couple of notes from the discussion that's going on. During our reappraisal process, that property's value stayed the same. So while everybody else's values went up, that property stayed exactly the same. It did not change. The second thing I want to point out is, we've been at this for a while. We're not against these types of facilities, just the size, the scale, the location, it's just not the right place. I understand you've heard that before. But what I'd like to point out is that in our new zoning, we have a thing called a PUD, Public Use Determination. And basically, if something comes under that determination, the Development Review Board and the Select Board can waive many of our zoning rules. They can waive height, setbacks. There's a whole list. If you check out www.nota50.com, you'll understand that. And the point being is, as we went through and learned about this stuff, we learned that this building can be placed almost anywhere in Castleton. So you might think this is a NIMBY thing. This is not a NIMBY thing. This can happen anywhere in Castleton that the Development Review Board and our town decides to make it happen in almost every zoned district in the community. So, think about that. This is the tip of the iceberg on giant block buildings being placed all over our community. That's all.
Can I speak?
Yeah, Mr. Moderator, we have a lot of questions on Zoom.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Zach Hale, and I'm the developer. And I just wanted to kind of introduce myself and also tell you how this really all got started. I was actually a Castleton student, graduated in 2017, and I was actually reading the town plan. And it was not that I found this building that I wanted to build and then a location. It was that I found a demand for something, which was senior care facilities. And then I found the building and everything after that. So that's really the backstory on how this all happened. It ended up being, it made sense with the economic development covenant on this land and the vision actually that the school had for that when it was gifted to the town. I do just want to make a couple things clear too, because I think I've heard some questions about it, and I want to make sure that it's clear that this isn't something that isn't for the people of Castleton. And actually, in our market feasibility study, there's actually the assumption that 70 people from within 10 miles of this facility will move into Castleton, into this building. So. And we're going to have to show that to all of the lenders and funders that we bring to the table to build this building, that there is this feasibility that will meet these typical standard industry like norms of 70% absorption rate in the community. So, that's been the vision and the goal. And then I did just want to mention a couple other things that I think the cost of living in this facility too, because I know that is a big one. But I think there are a couple like just misconceptions when it comes to senior care and living in a facility like this. 30% of someone's income is usually affordable, and I'm also a property manager, so we have screening criteria. That's what we look at is 30% of someone's income. But when it comes to senior living, it's not just a house, like your mortgage payment, right? It's not just rent. There's a lot of things that this is service-enriched housing that people are going to move into, and it's going to cover a lot of things other than just the house. So comparing the 30% and to a normal house is not really as relevant. And actually, in senior care facilities, you look more at like 60 to 65% of someone's income is affordable, and that does get you to pretty close to the median income of Castleton. So this is very much for people of Castleton, and that has always been the vision and the goal. And it's really been the thing that's driven us is that we know that the demand is here and that we can provide people with a place to live and then create the housing, because that's 70 housing units of people that we move out of the housing that we're living in right now into this facility, and it's going to free up 70 homes for families to move here, and that is the answer to the challenge of bringing kids to this community. So those are just a few things, and I will stick around. I'm happy to answer questions and talk to anyone. I use my email, I can send you data, so I'm open to answer any questions. So thank you for the opportunity.
We've got some online questions. First one, does this add more to the cost? Brad Turner, does this add more cost to the town to support? Put that to the select board or town manager.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Okay. Does this add more cost to the town to support?
I discussed that a little bit. We don't think that it's going to add to the cost of police. Our fire department is staffed with a ladder truck, should they be needed, at a building that size. But this building obviously would be brand new, and it would be fully alarmed and fully sprinklered. Again, it's a segment of the population that doesn't have a bad safety record. So can I predict that? Not really. Based on industry experience, I think this building would be very safe and wouldn't tax the fire department. They would pay for their water and sewer, and both of our water and sewer infrastructure could use more participants to share that cost.
Thank you.
Would there be more road maintenance? Sure. I mean, the road's already there. It already gets plowed. The garbage truck already goes down it. There would be 2 food deliveries a week, and there would be increased residential traffic. So would the pavement wear out faster? Yes. I couldn't predict at what rate. I don't think it would be substantial.
Can I just jump in? I think facilities that offer memory care service.
Please wait to be recognized. Joe Mark, you have the floor.
Thank you. Some of you know I worked at Castleton State College for, I think it was 32 years, and I was there during the period when the decision was made to offer this property to the town to be used for economic development. Prior to that, as academic dean, I had actually proposed to the president's council that the college itself developed this property with a long-term care facility. It seemed to me at the time that it was a natural fit. The property was adjacent to the campus. There were a lot of potential connections between programs in education, nursing, physical education, social work, gerontology, and we could have used it kind of as a laboratory for our students in a variety of internships. The President's Council was not interested in doing that at that time, and I was disappointed, but at the same time I understood that it was kind of a new venture and maybe a scary one for the college to undertake. When this project later, many years later, became a possibility, I was enthusiastic because I saw the same potentials for collaboration and connection. I know that this is controversial for some of the residents of the region, but I do think that it would be a positive addition to the town. Certainly, seeing all of that land just lie fallow and generate no tax revenue for the community has been disappointing to me. And I hope that while no proposal is perfect, that most citizens will see this as a positive net to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more person online.
I'd speak.
Please identify yourself.
Yes, John Burke.
Very good. I don't know if you know you. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd only like to echo what Joe Mark just said and add to it that in fact, the idea behind trying to develop this was something that goes even farther back than that. Those that have been talking about being students of our zoning probably know that not too far from this area was the area that was originally set out as industrial. Not that we ever had a lot of industry, but when we first set it out years ago, that area right at the end of Sand Hill where it meets South Street Extension, that area was all zoned commercial and industrial. We never did accomplish much in getting that. One of the things that is distressing is that we've never done a whole lot to attract that kind of business that would allow for an increase in our population by attracting people that are working there and create some more vibrant community engagement. I think that it's time that we realize that a project that will allow for an increase in our tax base will attract jobs, will provide a service for those elderly citizens that desire it. Seems like a win-win-win. For years, I was a member of the Public Service Board, now the Public Utilities Commission. And I can only tell you that over and over again, we were faced with issues where we would have somebody, for instance, that said, we desperately need a cell tower. We have areas in our town where there's dead zones. It's not safe. You'd go and fight with AT&T or Verizon, get them to finally agree to locate a tower. And then sometimes exactly the same people that were yelling for it started screaming that it wasn't the right place for it. It's never going to be exactly the right place for everybody. But I think it's time that we as a community realize that there are obligations here and there are advantages here and there are opportunities here. And I think it's time that we consider voting to allow this property to be developed in that way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And I have one more question. Is the only way to change the price to vote no and terminate the contract? From Brad Turner. Is the only way to change the price of the property is to vote no and terminate the contract? Is that the only way to raise the price?
I believe an addendum could be made that the developer could offer more money and a new addendum could be signed.
I think as the ballot item is written, if you want the different price, I believe it has to be voted down. It has to be voted down to change the price. I believe so, because that's the way the ballot item is written. Yes. Okay.
Okay, we need to move along with this. So if you've spoken already, we're going to move Susan Day and one lady here in the light. Mary Lee, you can speak too. Okay. There's three more, and that's it, because we really need to. We want to be home by midnight. She already has her hand up before you have the floor, Mary Harris.
I'd like to talk a little bit about our fire department. They do a fantastic job, and I can't give them more kudos than what they did for us when our barn burned. But are you aware that in Fall River, not too long ago, a nursing home burned down and they lost 9 people? Not only did they lose 9 people, it put the firemen over the edge that they weren't able to save them. Now, we've got, I believe it's 43 firemen, volunteer, they're all over everywhere. Can they get 99 people out of a building that's burning? I know it's up to standards and everything else, but there's still the possibility. Thank you.
I would respond to that the building in Fall River was very old and not up to code. Certainly, if a building of this size were to catch fire, it would pose a huge problem. You know, here in the university, there's many buildings of similar size, and they don't have the same level of supervision. The fire department's out here all the time because of burn popcorn and parties and so forth, but I certainly couldn't say that wouldn't happen, but a new building like this is built with standards, alarms, sprinklered to really reduce the possibility of that.
It's still possible.
Everything's possible.
It's always possible. A plane crash into the building, you could have the New York City Fire Department on scene. A plane crash in the building, you're gonna have lots of light. You can't never say it'll never happen, but the likelihood of it with a sprinkler built to code is very low. Yes.
The other thing about a fire is that the staff has to be trained to be able to evacuate everybody within 5 minutes and get them down the stairs and get them out.
The 4th story.
Thank you.
Yes, I have a number of comments. I'm not opposed to a senior center. I am opposed to this building design. I would like to see it be 2 stories. If this is a company that's making a lot of money, they can get that architect back and redesign a building that would be suitable for Castleton. The second thing is that at some point, Sand Hill Road is going to need a major overhaul with a lot of traffic. Third point is that the majority of people that are going to be working at this building are going to be those that are nurses' aides, people that are helping in the kitchen, people that are doing the house cleaning. Most of these people don't have cars. They are going to be needing to take public transportation. I want you to think about that. How many buses go by a day? There have to be people in that facility 24 hours a day. Okay, that's another thought. My mother was at a life care center, very high end in New Jersey. It was expensive. She loved it. She was there for 10 years. I was paying the bills. The monthly maintenance fee continued to go up once or twice a year by a minimum of $500. So that means, okay, if you have someone who is getting Social Security and a pension, that's plenty. That's a lot of money. But most people around here need to be a little more conservative. So that's something else to think about.
My name's Katrina Triela, and Sue covered it, but I just wanted to reiterate that we in the neighborhood are not opposed at all to a senior living facility coming into the neighborhood. Again, like Sue said, it's this huge 4-story ugly building. Thank you.
Kate Thornley? Might speak up, please. They're yelling.
I'm Katie Thornblade, and I'm only here to represent the baby boomer generation who are now fallen into the category of the elderly. And I would never afford to live in a place like that, but I know there is a need. It's a huge need. And like Sue, my mother, Mick's mother, lived in a elderly care place for, my mother was there for 11 years, and it was very costly, but the prices I paid 20 years ago were the same as what they're suggesting now. So it's universal, and I also want to say that there are homes like this all over. Rutland has a few, Millbury has a few, and we need to get on board and start thinking about taking care of me and my friends. Not me, because I can't afford it, but we don't want to ask our kids to take care of us, and that's why these are becoming very popular, I think. So,
I believe that's more than adequate discussion on this article. Thank you. Article 51. Shall the town add an additional $75,000 to the fiscal year 26 to 27 Highway Department operating budget equipment reserve to support long-term vehicle equipment replacement schedule? Any discussion on Article 51? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 52. Shall the town add an additional $75,000 to the fiscal year 26-27 Highway Department operating budget to support a long-term paving schedule for the 30-plus miles of paved roads and streets in the town?
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator, we can't hear you online.
Can you hear me now?
Shall I repeat the question?
Article 52.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Shall the town add an additional $75,000 to the fiscal year 26-27 Highway Department operating budget to support a long-term paving schedule for the 30 miles of paved roads and streets in the town of Castleton? Discussions on Article 52. Hearing none, seeing none. Article 53. Shall the town add an additional $60,000 to the fiscal year 26-27 Fire Department operating budget vehicle equipment reserve to support a long-term vehicle equipment replacement schedule? Any questions on Article 53? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 54, shall the town of Castleton withdraw from the Rutland County Solid Waste District and take necessary steps to join the Solid Waste Alliance Communities, SWAC? Any discussion on Article 54? Mr. Spalding. Get your own mic.
I will make this as quick as possible, guys. I'm exhausted as much as you guys are. I just want to bring a few numbers to I want to bring a few numbers to your attention. The average residential home pays $36 to $62 a year in district surcharges. District surcharges are paid through your tipping fees, whether you give your tipping fees to your private hauler or you give your tipping fees to the local transportation. On average, yearly, Castleton taxpayers, citizens, residents this year are going to pay $53,000 to $57,000 in district surcharges. We've been a member of the Rutland County Solid Waste District for 40 plus years. And close to my calculations, we've paid in district surcharges well over $1.6 million. It's about, I used $40,000 a year on average. I have one question for everybody in the audience. Can anybody tell me what the Rutland County Solid Waste District does for you and your home? Does anybody know? For that $36 to $62 a year you pay? Does anybody get any services from the Rutland County Solid Waste District? I was in the trash business for 35 years. They did nothing for me and my customers, other than put their hand out for their district surcharge on a quarterly basis. I hand them a lot of money. My customers handed them a lot of money. I would just like you to take that in consideration for Article 54. And a lot of you know that I've been adamant about getting the town out of the Rutland County Solid Waste District. You're just throwing your money away. You obviously get nothing for it because nobody can answer that question.
What would the,
Address questions here, please.
I just had one more thing. If there's anybody who owns businesses out there, can you let me know what the Rutland County Solid Waste District does for you and your business? Because the businesses pay a whole lot more than the residential homeowner does. That was my spiel.
What's the cost difference? Tell us about the Solid Waste Alliance. What would it cost us for that?
It's a one-time fee. It's per capita. They charge $5 and I think it's 56 cents per person. We have 4,365 people in town with the last consensus. It will cost the town $23,500, a one-time yearly fee. We pay $2,000 or $3,000 more at our transfer station to the Rutland County Solid Waste District. That's only half the town's trash. It doesn't take in the rest of the town's trash that the private hauler picks up. So we pay more at the transfer station for half the town's trash than we would pay for the whole town to the Solid Waste Alliance communities. And there's 8 towns right around us that belong to the Solid Waste Alliance communities. They have no desire to go to the Rutland County Solid Waste District, I can assure you.
What do the rest of you say?
Susan Day.
What do the rest of you say about this? What are your opinions?
I was an alternate. Bob is the Castleton representative to Rutland County Solid Waste District. I was the alternate. I attended 1 or 2 meetings. I'm not sure if you read what's happened at Rutland County Solid Waste District this year. It was the most disorganized, hidden, secretive meeting I'd ever been to. When I realized how confused it was, I asked if I could have a copy of the audited account from the previous year, and they said they didn't have it. And I said, well, how about the year before? Well, we haven't done that yet either. And they blamed it on the accounting firm. I said, well, give me the name of the accounting firm. I'm going to call them. They've got to be in an illegal spot. No, we can't do that. It was just terribly mismanaged. They didn't settle our accounts for, months at a clip? Almost a year. Someone asked earlier if we were making money from recyclables. Well, we didn't know because we would deliver the trash over there and it's supposed to be accounted on a monthly basis and almost a year goes by. It's like, do we owe you or do you owe us? It was just really, really poorly run. I wish we'd gotten out of it 2 years ago, but this is where we are right now. That's my personal feeling.
Based on what Bob and Mark found out at their meetings, I lost faith in them and I'm prepared to support a change to SWAC.
I also support the change.
I'm with the rest of the board, and I think we should have been out of it a long time ago from what I've seen and what I've heard.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Please identify yourself.
Is Joe Iderola, Old Town Road. Is this going to result in the savings for the residents of the town in terms of permit fees or cost to bring trash to the transfer station? If we're going to save all that money, how do we benefit?
Let me back up. I'll answer your question. But if no one knows what surcharges are, that plays as a role into how I respond. So by anybody that's in the Rutland County Solid Waste District, like we are, any private hauler that hauls in a district town, they pay $25 per ton for the trash that's removed from that town. Under the Solid Waste Alliance communities, They don't care where you bring the trash. They don't charge you a $25 per ton surcharge, so that means private haulers and the transfer station wouldn't have to pay that surcharge. They just have the per capita charge, and they also have a household hazardous waste charge. I don't have that number off the top of my head, but that's added in so that we get the household hazardous waste days like we do now. We take our trash mostly to New York because it's cheaper. It's $92 a ton versus going to Rutland at $140 something about. So if we went to SWAC, we could take that stuff to New York still and not pay the surcharge on it. So there is a savings overall. It gives us greater autonomy and not be beholden to where we bring the trash. Because if Hubbard's all of a sudden said, we'll give you a deal and it's going to be $80, we could just switch to them and not go to New York State. We have kind of a contract. We have to bring so many tons there. So once that expires, we kind of have some freedom there. But that's how the surcharge works. So when Bob's talking about the surcharge, how does it save everybody in town? If you pay trash or you pay a private hauler to pick up your trash, they build the surcharge into what they're charging you. Now, I can't tell you that a private hauler would reduce their rates if they were no longer getting the 25 or paying that $25 a ton. You'd have to ask a private hauler on that one.
What about if I bring my trash? What I'm asking.
It's not going to change the permit fees.
What about the fees to bring trash? The $6 a bag fee that I'm dropping off my bags at the transfer station. Do we get any savings for those fees? Because you're paying less. Why shouldn't that get passed on to us?
I think that's something I would bring to the select board before July 1st of each year to see it's costing us. And if it costs us less money, then I could say to the select board, we don't have to raise rates, or maybe we could reduce fees somewhere else. I think we take mattresses in, and if we take them to Rutland, it's $65, I think, right now. They charge us for a mattress. We charge $22. So if we started charging $65, the highway crew's gonna start picking up mattresses beside the road. So we have to be smart about how we do things.
Just to give you a more direct answer to your question, we try very hard to keep it revenue neutral. So if it costs us $300,000 a year to dispose of the garbage and take care of the transfer station, including, pay the help and pay for the truck, et cetera, then we try to think that the fees cover that. So if all of a sudden we, by a miracle have $50,000 less in expenses, then we're going to try to change the fees to reflect that. Consequently, if the costs go up, we're going to have to do the same. So every year we come pretty close to breaking even, don't we, Bob?
We're about $70,000 off right now.
Oh, so we should be raising the fees and we are not. So let's see if this helps us keep them stable.
Thank you.
All right, we
Susan
have
Day,
one
I
late
have
question.
one more question. One more question, please.
One more question, please.
Our garbage goes to a landfill in Vermont. Is this correct?
That is not correct.
Where does it go?
It goes to a burner facility down in Hudson Falls, or at least it's supposed to.
An incinerator
An incinerator, yes.
that has scrubbers.
Yes.
And this is a hard question. What is the less environmental impact? The incinerator or the one last landfill in Vermont?
I'd like to answer that. You take 14 tons of raw waste down to the incinerator, it reduces it down to 7 tons of ash. They use the ash to cover landfills down in New York State. So it reduces it by 50%, and it powers 40,000 homes down there around the burn plant. To me, that's the way to go. Reduce your trash in half and use the ash to cover the landfills. It's excuse the phrase, but two birds with one stone.
Just asking.
I just answered.
Okay, we have a late online question. if all the money articles pass, budget, social services, $210,000 adds to highway and fire department paving and equipment reserves, and based on what we assume now regarding revenue estimates and our grand list, what would the estimated tax rate be compared to current year of 0.3834 cents per $100 assessed value? Good luck with this one. What's that? Oh, it's from Melanie Coombs. Wouldn't have it any other way.
And that's if there's no surplus against it.
Get a microphone, quick. She's going to yell at us.
If there is no surplus, the rate will go from 0.38 to 0.40.
Okay. Well, hope you heard that. Okay. Very good.
That's just your 2 cents. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. Moving on. Article 55. Shall the town vote to authorize the legislative body select board to appoint the town clerk as provided?
Microphone.
I need one of those headset ones, you know what I'm saying, so I can walk and ramble. No, we're good, we're good. Shall the town vote to authorize the legislative body select board to appoint the town clerk as provided in 17 VSA 2651E and eliminate the election of the town clerk? Any discussion on Article 55? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 56. No late question? Good. There. Shall the town vote to authorize the legislative body to appoint a treasurer as provided in 17 VSA 2651F and eliminate the election of the treasurer? Any discussion on Article 56? Hearing none, seeing none. Article 57. Shall the town vote to authorize the election or appointment of Vermont residents who are not Castleton residents to be elected or appointed to town offices, not including select board or justices of the peace, or for boards or commissions that are established by state law and which are required to be composed of a majority of Castleton residents as provided in 17 VSA 2646A. That was a mouthful. Katie Thornblade. Wait for your microphone, please.
I just wonder what positions that will allow non-Castleton residents then, with all the exceptions, what is left?
To the board. Make sure you got a microphone.
Sure, right next, I'm sorry.
That would allow for the treasurer and the town clerk. I mean, those are the positions that are difficult to fill from within the community.
I can probably talk very loud. You want the Lance?
I'm yelling at from the online meeting, so please wait for the microphone.
Thank you.
Yvonne DeLance. Why is it on their choice then? It's a little concerned that you've separated the treasurer and the town clerk, then you put it in a group with a bunch of language. Why have it on their choice? It makes it confusing if it's only those two positions, or is it any other position you guys may think of later on? Is it a sneak one?
I guess it could be health officer.
That's you guys.
Okay.
But this, it says non who are not Castleton residents. So,
But he just said that it was two, and then he said that it was only
there's other things in statute, like weigher of coal, fence viewer, that we have, the town hasn't appointed in. But they haven't been appointed in a long time, Bob, so you're not weighing any coal. Only that stuff that's in your stocking. So, But, so those are by statute, there's a list of positions in there, but the reason, I think, I don't want to speak for the select board, so I'll shut up, but why they chose to put those on there, and be from out of town, because we've had problems filling positions, basically. And I'll give an anecdotal thing. I had a person come in and apply who said, I don't know how to use a computer, I can barely use my phone, but I want to be the town clerk. And I said, why do you want to do that? Because I need a job. So if that person got a petition, made it on the ballot, and enough 30-something people voted for that person, for 3 years the town would have had a town clerk that couldn't use a computer and could barely use their phone. So that's what drove some of the decision.
And because the town clerk is elected, they would not be responsible to the town manager or the select board. And that's been an issue around Vermont with a few different elected positions. There was a sheriff in Bennington County that was elected. I think the position paid $90,000 a year and immediately moved to South Carolina and got paid for a year. And because it's an elected position, they're not responsible to anyone. So under this potential change, the town manager would have the authority to hire a town clerk and a treasurer, and they would be directly responsible to him. So they wouldn't be able to say, I'm only going to work Wednesday from 1 to 2. Would be more oversight. And then it's difficult to hire the position from within the community. So that's the second step.
Any other discussion? Okay. Let's move to Article 58. Shall the town vote to authorize the legislative body, select board, to impose local options tax or a 1% sales tax according to 24 VSA 138 local option taxes? Any discussions, comments, concerns on Article 58?
Yes, hi, Eric Splatt. So I just have a couple questions which I guess could cover over the next 3 numbered items. What exactly are the funds from the 1% town tax being used for in the 5-year and 10-year plan? Is there a cap on the amount? For instance, like clothing tax is free up to $100. Or say someone purchases a kitchen for $10,000 or a boat for $15,000, would this be under that tax? Just was kind of curious.
Boats would be exempt. The plan for the money is to put it into the budget for our reserve funds. So essentially, I don't know how to word this. I'm terrible at speaking in public, so we'll just go there. But essentially what we want to do, I'll give my whole speech on the whole thing now because I was the one that brought this to the board. 3 months ago, I would have said we absolutely don't need to do this and I don't want to do this, and I would have voted no until I sat down and looked at it. Castleton would have made roughly off of this $275,000 plus last year. That's just a lowball estimate from what I could get off of the state's website for taxes. This is only on taxable items in the town of Castleton. The money, the plan that we've all came up with is to put it into the reserves for the highway department, the fire department, and all that. I think those reserves total came up to about $210,000. That money we wouldn't have to ask for from the taxpayers. So essentially what it would have turned this year's budget in, should we have had that revenue, it would have been a 0 increase in the budget. Is that?
Well, boats are sales tax.
Correct, but boats like cars are exempt. That's part of the thing.
And high dollar items like outboard motors, or I'm just throwing that out there because I am a little bit concerned just as far as our business goes. Not maybe so much on the retail point of it. I can understand I pay in a bunch of other places, but I grew up in a house with a father that would drive an hour to save 5 cents a gallon. And it just concerns me because I do see that happening, and I understand the concept and I love it because I could maybe think of a road that I might like to see paved, or maybe some sewer ran down a certain road with some help. But I am a little concerned that if someone was to come in and purchase, personal watercraft, outboard motor, different things like that in our business, and then also just thinking of some other ones, but I was just a little concerned about that, but thanks for clarifying it though.
I mean, looking at it from like just a shopper point of view, do you shop in Rutland? Do you shop in Middlebury? Do you shop in Rutland City? Do you shop in Brandon? You know, all those have that 1% tax that you're paying when you go there already. I've talked to some similar towns, Brandon and St. Albans, and both towns have said it's a no-brainer. Like, it's a benefit. They've had no complaints. They think everybody should do it. There's currently 28 towns that do it, and there's a bunch that are scheduled to do it now. So, if anybody wants a better explanation or anything, I'm much better talking one-on-one. I own Tom's Bait and Tackle. I'm right across from Gilmore's. Stop in any time that we're open, and I would love to go over with you. I got a ton of numbers, ton of paperwork. It's just easier for me to do one-on-one.
You did well. You did very good.
We've got
Yeah, you
somebody,
did good. I'm not good at this either.
we got someone online. This is Brad. Can you identify yourself?
Yeah, hi, it's Brad Turner. Thanks, Rob, for making those points. I think these next 3 points with this local option tax are really important. You know, whether the select board decides to apply 100% of these proceeds to help reduce town taxes, or to put aside money for reserve funds for different needs, those are all, if you don't put aside reserve funds, they're just going to be coming to you and asking you to put in more money out of your pocket to help fund things like new fire trucks, new dump trucks, equipment. All that stuff is really important. You got to start putting aside money in these budget, you know, build out these reserve plans in these budgets. You know, and people get upset about how much local taxes are. The other night, it was one of the select board members estimated it was like 80% of your property tax is going to fund the statewide school education program. That's crazy. We can't keep doing that. So please vote for these 3 items. These items will capture 1% on every dollar in these different categories. A cut of this money, of course, goes to the state to help collect it. A larger cut of this money, 70%, is going to go to the town. This will leverage tourists that come into town. It will leverage, you know, the college kids that come to town and spend money. Those far outweigh any expense that are going to come out of your pocket. You'll benefit from it in the long run. You'll benefit. And as Rob said, a bunch of other towns have already implemented or plan to implement it. So it's happening all over the place. And the way if you don't like your property tax, you got to start voting people into the state house that are going to change the state education tax and how that gets allocated out across the state. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
I will say one last thing here. This is with our goal of putting it back into the reserve funds that are currently in the budget. This is, like I said, a rough estimate of $275,000. I think it's going to be more from what I've heard from the other towns. But this is $275,000 that just you as taxpayers are paying. Nobody else in town, nobody else that drives on our roads, nobody else comes through town. This is just $275,000 that you guys are currently paying. With the 1% option tax, we can take that $275,000 and spread it out to not only you as taxpayers, but to everyone who comes through town and uses our services, shops in our stores, the college kids, all those. So it will help.
So, amen, Brad. Vote people in that'll change education. That's just nothing to do with this, but anywho. Julie Finnegan.
Thank you.
The 1% on rooms tax, that doesn't include Airbnbs and Verbos, does it?
It does include
It
Airbnbs.
does include excellent.
Correct.
Thank you very much. It's good to know.
And the rooms tax, the rooms and meals tax from last year would have been roughly estimated, would have got us about $77,000.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have the alcohol numbers because the state didn't list alcohol numbers. If there's less than 10 businesses that reported alcohol sales, the state doesn't release those numbers. So when I talked to Brandon, I looked at Brandon's sales numbers on taxable items, and they were very similar to ours. And the numbers that they actually received were actually a couple 100,000 higher than what I would have expected them to receive. So I am very conservative, $275,000.
I'm going to read the final two articles because they're basically the same thing with the local option tax, and then we can have more discussion if we need to. Article 59, shall the town vote to authorize the legislative body select board to impose a local options tax for a 1% meals and alcoholic beverages tax according to 24 VSA 138 local option taxes. And Article 60, shall the town vote to authorize the legislative body select board to impose a local options tax for 1% on rooms according to 24 VSA 138 local option taxes. Now, with that being said, is there any more discussion on the local option taxes? I don't know if I should be grouping these together, but why not? Any other comments, concerns, editorials? Excellent. Now the best part of the night. I move to adjourn. Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? It passes. The meeting's adjourned.